Thank you for inviting me to give you this presentation. I remember when I was a student myself and I participated in groups like this. At that point, IEEE wasn't very strong, but we had other groups which are still present today. And just not to forget, because I think it's very, very important, that I urge you to participate in such groups. There are a number of groups representing engineers in Malta, mainly the IEEE group, which is the group organizing this conference today. There is the Chamber of Engineers, and there's also what we used to call the Joint Group, which is the group that represents the British institutions of what used to be the Institution of Electrical Engineers, which is now the Institute of Engineering and Technology, the Institution of Mechanical Engineers, and the Institution of Civil Engineers. All these organize activities from which you can benefit. And I think it's one of the messages that I would like to pass on to you today, that to become successful in life, you don't just stop at your graduation, but you have to continue learning. You have to continue to develop yourself. You have to strive to be better. And it's not a matter of doing the minimum, but trying to be the best in your type of service that you are giving to your clients, your employer, to the industry in general. I would like to take up from where Clifford left off. I started off my career in 1977. I graduated from this university. They weren't very, very good times, unfortunately, at that point. And in fact, the first few weeks after graduation, I was employed with the Pioneer Corps, which I didn't mention to Clifford. It was one of the things that it was particular to the period when I graduated. Engineers did not have employment opportunities, and at that point were offered to join the army. Basically, there was this special group, and we were offered to be given the appointment of second lieutenants. Fortunately, I was the first one to leave after 3 weeks, but it was a nice time. I experienced some marching and drill, and which when I tell my youngest son, he's all envy. He would like to join such a group. So anyway, it was a very nice 3 weeks, which I experienced. Then I moved on to the textile industry. At that point, the textile industry was very strong. It was one of the strongest industries on the island. In fact, at that point, I was offered the job of production engineering. I didn't know anything about production engineering. In fact, I realized that production engineering was not really the sort of engineering that I would have liked to do. It was all about pushing people to produce more. And the only message I used to get from my production manager was, if you are nice with the people, you cannot be nice with me. The company had Dutch management at that point, and this was the sort of attitude which I could only bear for approximately 5 months. During those 5 months, I didn't lose those 5 months. I was given opportunities to learn about production techniques, time and motion study. So again, this is one of the messages I would like to give you today, there are no experiences which are purely negative experiences. All experiences can be turned to your benefit. So even if you are in a difficult situation, even if you are in a situation which is not ideal, try to make the best out of it. You can always learn. You can always use that experience in something that will come up in the future. After that, after 5 months doing production engineering, I joined Delta Malta, which at the time was a relatively new company in electronics. We used to produce electronic power supplies. It was still the time of the linear power supply. Those of you who are into electronics know what I'm talking about. And it was also the first couple of years when the switch mode power supply came into existence. And definitely it was an experience that these were obviously the prototype of all the switch mode power supplies that you come in contact today in every part, in every piece of equipment that you come in contact with. I spent there 4 years. I had close contacts with our Dutch parent company. Most of the design used to be done in Holland, but we had access to the design process. In fact, since we were the only production facility for that particular company, obviously most of the problems that came out from the design process, we used to experience them. And we used to give a lot of feedback to our Dutch parent company on how those particular circuits could be improved. In fact, what I learned over there, again, it was my second experience working for a Dutch company. And I don't know if most of you have heard the term double Dutch. I think it was very appropriate to, I'm not saying anything about the Dutch people, but the people that I came in contact with were difficult, I would say, to communicate with. But at least one thing that I learned was that there is a way of communicating even when you want to criticize something. There are a lot of ways how you can pass a comment, how you can criticize, how you can reach an aim, but there are ways and ways. And one thing that I learned from my Delta experience was that we had to pass on our comments with more, in a much nicer way, unless we wanted a lot of criticism on our part of the activity. I spent 4 years at Delta, and they were 4 of the nicest years that I experienced as a new engineer. It gave me a lot of experience. I was assigned the responsibility of the testing department. We used to manufacture. We used to test most of these power supplies. We built the first automated testing equipment. We designed this equipment ourselves. So although we're not really involved with the design of the actual product, but we had our design experience, and together with the engineers over there,